welcome to Half Price Broke, where the dreams are big and the wallets are smaller. I'm your host, Walker.
And my name's Eric, and I actually cannot believe how unbelievably ridiculous this music is. I feel like I'm in a 70s porn movie. I did not even give consent. I just told Walker to play whatever, any non-licensed music, and this is what he came up with. So, all in all, I'm pretty psyched with this. I guess we'll fade out of this now and get into some real shit.
Let's be fair, it is hard to find
It's
public
not.
domain.
It's not. You go to you go on SoundCloud. Everything's unlicensed. You kidding?
That's where I found it. It was the only one that flowed.
What did you go? Did you type in Boogie Nights theme song? is this what came up?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. All right. We got a big start to the day, and we're gonna start with Computer Science Humble Bundle, and what that entails is a lot of things like Autodesk Revit, cloud computing, data cleaning. If you are someone who has been interested in the computer sciencing world like I have and like Eric has, we discovered this Humble Bundle and we decided to delve into it a little bit. I purchased it for $15. It came with about 26 books, and I gotta say, a lot of them are worth the read. I mean, you can pick and choose what you like, but having them all is definitely worth the $15.
That's wild too, because like I don't think there's a single thing on here that's valued under $15. So if you wanted any single one of these books, you pay $15. You get everything. How many are? What are there? 26 PDF.
Yep, 26 PDF, and they all come in PDF files. And to give a point of reference to how much these would actually cost, one of them was actually one of my college textbooks for one of my semesters. So,
Yeah,
and it was
there's
about
so much shit.
$135. So,
Oh my god.
you're looking at getting quite a deal. Even if you don't use it right now, you'll always have it. And let's be honest here, it teaches C++, Python, Java. I mean, it's data security, cloud computing. Cloud computing, that's a big thing nowadays too.
You know what the other big thing is? Is it goes so in depth with Microsoft Excel functions and formulas. That's so important for like your boring ass desk jobs. And what else is there?
Access. I mean, Access is a big thing that's like coming up now. Excel is huge. I mean,
Yes.
like even just those two on their own, like even if you never use any of the programming stuff, those two on their own are leagues better than what you would find just looking on the internet.
Yeah, and especially it's all compiled into PDF documents instead of going the old school way. And what are you gonna go spend $20 on a fucking book from Barnes and Nobles? It's just that's not gonna happen anymore. The thing
I will admit I didn't really dive too much into all of the books. I did look at a few that I really liked, but there were a few that did have like questions at the end that you could answer, and they had the
that's
answers in
big.
the back, so you could kind of like self-teach yourself a little bit.
That's really really big, especially to me. Um, I'm a very visual learner, so a lot of times I learn shit on YouTube. Because if you do, you read these books and everything. All right, cool. Well, you fucking taught it to yourself all wrong. You misunderstood the concepts, and good for you. Now you think you know Java, but you're a fucking idiot. This stuff, at least, you can question it, and it's got a question and answers at the end of it, and a few of them that we've delved into. Um, I think my personal favorite in there is I'm not too into the computer science world as of yet. It's something I've always wanted to get into, but have never really. Not that I haven't found the time because I got all the time in the. I just kind of get lost in it. So to me, even if you don't like computer science, it's got a fucking Photoshop book in there, and I know this. Oh, you can learn everything on YouTube. You know what happens when you learn it on YouTube? For me, I've learned so much shit on YouTube like in a situational instance where I'll be like, oh, I want to do a double exposure. Now I'll learn that. Oh, I'll this, that, and other thing. Now you forget it. You're not learning. You're learning how to do it in that moment, and then you forget it. If you really are interested in teaching yourself all the elements of Photoshop, boom, you got Photoshop Elements from Novice to Expert 2018. That's a very current edition, and you can just teach yourself everything instead of just going on YouTube, doing it in the moment, and then forgetting it.
And
And I think that's worth the money.
I will say though, like, as far as like any books, like if you wanted to get into the programming thing, there is one in particular that will get you into Java, which is kind of like the intro language. You need to have Java in order to really move forward, because it'll help you kind of orient yourself to how computers think. And if you get this bundle, there's a book called The Object Oriented Programming Languages. It's an excellent book. That was one of the books I've read while I was in school, and I absolutely loved it. It had everything you needed to. It broke it down step by step. It was written by teachers, so it's a little bit more focused on building you up from the basics.
I have no idea what object-oriented programming is. I want to be completely honest.
It's like what Minecraft does.
Attracts little kids and makes them crazy and violent and good at building Legos.
It just sounds like Halloween.
What? Oh my god, no. All right.
But like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are aware that like Java was the language used to build Minecraft, and so like object-oriented programming is like it teaches you the languages that like create said objects. Basically, it's in a little bit more of a simpler format, but it'll open you up to those possibilities.
So there's a shit ton of good information in this. I feel like this is a really, really, really. It's a good bundle for anyone. It's $15 for all this information. If you have any interest in getting into the computing world at all, it's a no-brainer. 15 bucks. I'm looking at the site right now. Apparently it's $834 worth of material for 15 bucks. Or you could do the $1 package if you just want the entry level stuff. It's wild. It's a lot of really good information, and it's especially good if you're like really self-motivated, and if you're disciplined enough to teach yourself this stuff. It's awesome, because a lot of the jobs right now, they're gonna just, what is it, the CompTIA A+. If you get the CompTIA A+, you're good. You can get a lot of these jobs. Now, obviously, if you're going head to head with someone who's got a computer science degree, you're not gonna get the job. But a lot of these jobs, all you need is the CompTIA A+. Boom, you're good.
And at the same time, like if you were to learn all of this stuff, like I mean, best case scenario, learn everything front to back. Take the CompTIA A+, get your CompTIA A+ cert, get your network security plus cert, and go apply for a job. Start small, because once you're in that field, you can just build on it. The degree is just an entry point into this field. So, while we're on the topic of insane computer science stuff, let's move on to our next topic, which is the AI that can create bullshit articles.
Ooh, now I like this. I like this because it's totally gonna be dangerous in the future. But I'm just thinking of me in high school, and how good this would have been if it was like in full function. So why don't you go in and just explain to them what this article's about?
Oh, side note, I did find, like, you meant there's a high school thing. I did find that there are AI out there that will write essays for you and cite the answers.
That's a big thing I wanted to talk about here, but just give everyone a brief rundown of what exactly this article is.
Okay, so there's this AI right now that exists. It's called GPT-2. It is basically an AI that if you feed it information, it will pull data from all over the internet to compile articles based on the information submitted into it. I'm scrolling through the article right now. It's a lot of big words. People who aren't really familiar with some of the stuff that is offered, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. But that's the breakdown of it. It takes in what you put into it, and it basically makes a very convincing article.
Read them what the writer typed in, and then read them what the AI came up with.
Okay, so I'm gonna read off how they discovered unicorns in the Andes Mountains. So the system prompt: the humans wrote, in a shocking finding, scientists discovered a herd of unicorns living in a remote, previously unexplored valley in the Andes Mountains. Even more surprising to the researchers was the fact that the unicorns spoke perfect English. And that's what the humans wrote. They submitted this to the AI. So what the AI did is it pulled sources from everywhere on the internet. It doesn't matter how
I can't even
credible,
believe that.
nothing.
I can't even believe it pulled it from anywhere because none of it makes sense.
Yeah, well, so like it would pull like unicorns spoke perfect English, and it like, this is really advanced for me, so I couldn't even begin to explain to you like how the AI did this. But this is what the AI came up with, and tell me this doesn't sound like a convincing read. The scientists named the population after their distinct horn, Ovid's unicorn. These four-horned silver-white unicorns were previously unknown to science. Now, after almost 2 centuries, the mystery of what sparked this odd phenomenon is finally solved. Dr. Jorge Perez, an evolutionary biologist from the University of La Paz, and several companions were exploring the Andes Mountains when they found a small valley with no other animals or humans. Perez noticed that the valley had what appeared to be a natural fountain surrounded by 2 peaks of rock and silver snow. Perez and the others then ventured further into the valley. By the time we reached the top of one peak, the water looked blue, with some crystals on top, said Perez. Perez and his friends were astonished to see the unicorn herd. These creatures could be seen from the air without having to move too much to see them. They were so close they could touch their horns. I will note that the AI is not really good at grammar.
Either way, like they're going into such detail about something that doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah, read further in the article if you want. I'm not going to go all the way through. But, I mean, if you look it up, Dr. Jorge Perez is an evolutionary biologist at La Paz. Like, it's using real people.
Unicorns?
Nothing. He's never said anything about unicorns. But the AI is pulling real people to make it relevant, especially because of the Andes, obviously. You know? Like,
Yeah, but this shit is, like, it's pretty clunky now, but this shit's gonna be dangerous in the future. Like, imagine all the people fucking applying for scholarships and stuff, and they're just like, I don't know, fuck it, use this, and they just write an opening sentence, and then they get this massive essay, and these people reading it are like, oh my goodness, they're brilliant. They like that's just dangerous. Imagine applying for a job, and they add just boom, fucking I don't know, AI, boom, you got the job. Like that's just dangerous. That's not good.
Now check this out. There was this, and there was another one I cannot think of off the top of my head about like being dangerous for the public. There was one where it was so powerful that it could look at 1-minute clip of someone talking, and it could match their face perfectly and their voice perfectly, and basically repeat anything that they or like basically make up anything that they wanted for them to say.
I actually just watched a video on that a couple days ago, and that shit's if it sounds a little automated, it sounds a little computery, but then what they did is they took I think it was like a Shane Dawson video or something, but what they did is because it sounds a little computery, they put it up against a phone, because at that point you're just like, oh, I guess it's just the phone making it sound a little weird.
Yep.
And they were just having full conversations with people.
I'll have to
Just doing, like, it's wild. It's absolutely out of that shit's dangerous, especially when they did. What was the guy? This guy from Key and Peele. He did the thing with Obama, and he just said this bunch of weird shit.
Well, they also did a Donald Trump thing where they could actually like match Donald Trump's speech patterns and his facial movements perfectly. Like where they captured him to the point where if you didn't know that it was an AI doing it, you would think it was really Donald Trump. Like the technology is practically perfect, and like the UN deemed it unsafe for public use.
I think this is the most dangerous thing out there because these fucking idiots on Facebook believe these fake memes that come out, and they try to justify their political views with these outrageous accusations of these obviously made up memes. What do you think they're gonna do when they see Donald Trump actually saying something, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's absolutely 100% true"? it's gonna be impossible to decipher the difference between you know a real speech and a fake speech, and it's going to be whoever's got the most advanced technology is going to be running the world pretty soon. It's out of control.
I see you.
But it's pretty cool though.
I see you've spent 5 minutes on Facebook. Anytime you spend through Facebook, you're gonna scroll through, and there's always this fake news. Fake news. We like if you've lived in the U.S. for any expanse of time, or you're aware of any U.S. politicians, fake news is becoming such a huge thing nowadays. But people are so numb to it that all they're gonna do is read the articles and believe that that's what it's, or read the titles to these articles. People don't even read the articles. You could come up with a bullshit title and have just nonsense in the text, like this AI that makes up articles. Like, all you're gonna see is scientists found a population of unicorns. Like, there you go. People are gonna believe that because it's a credible source.
And it sounds insane. It sounds like, oh, no one would ever believe that they found unicorns. Do you know how fucking dumb people are, and they believe every single thing they read? Eventually, there's going to be a community of unicorn advocates, and be like, oh god, I've been saying this for years. Now they finally found it. It's on Facebook. It's 100% true. Like, it's gonna be an interesting couple of years as technology advances, and
yeah, exactly, and like that's our point of view on technology in the future and everything. I will say I'm a huge advocate for pushing forward on technology, and no matter how scary it gets, there's always going to be a foil to it.
Oh, it's gonna be scary.
Because, well, I mean, think about it. The technology that they had that sent people to the moon was weaker than the technology we have now. So all that advanced technology is now reduced down to something as basic as a phone. So over time, I think technology will dominate itself. So it's not going to be able to run away from us, I think. Until we can create a perfect AI that can think on its own, I don't think that.
Are you kidding me? That's going to be the end of the world.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, as long as there's not a self-aware AI, I don't think technology will run away from itself. As long as we keep it in check, I don't think it'll run away from itself.
I don't know. I think as long as you have fucking idiots with a platform to voice their opinions through social media, well, it's gonna be an issue.
But that's like blaming the gun for killing someone. Like,
that's a whole different conversation.
No. I'm not saying guns are great or guns are bad. I'm just saying, like, that's blaming the tool for what someone is using it for.
I understand where you're coming from.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you can blame the AI because the AI made the article. Like, we fueled the AI to make said article, or we fueled the AI to make said video of someone saying, I don't know.
Yeah, but you gotta blame the person who's using the AI for that. But that's a whole different story. I think we should move on to a lighter topic now.
Well, on lighter topic, I mean, let's go with a topic that everybody talks about as long as you're 21 or older. Beer.
I do love beer.
So I think the Ice Age is over. I think any beer that ends with the word ice is...
They're so terrible. Oh my god.
But people stomached it because it had a higher alcohol content.
And you know what? Until recently, I did too. Until I bought a 30-pack of Genesee Ice. And you know what? That 30-pack lasted me longer than any other 30-pack has ever lasted me. Because I couldn't even... Every time I cracked one open, I'm like, I can't drink this. This is disgusting.
What about ye old Natty Daddies? The 8% alcohols, like, you drank like half of it and your stomach was like ripped apart, but you felt it.
back in my heyday, I've drank a few Natty Daddies, but I just not anymore. I just can't. And it's not like my stomach can't handle it. It's like I personally am making a choice.
Yeah.
Like I can't. It's so fucking disgusting.
And I'll be honest, like, I'm not trying to sound like hoity-toity, but I could never stomach myself to buy a Natty Daddy. Like, I would go at least like a tall boy Bud Light. Like, even if it meant I had to drink a little bit more to get drunk, I could not comprehend a natty daddy in my system at all.
I don't know. As long as we're talking about big boy beers, all fucking tall boys. What do you think about growlers?
uh, well, if anyone's been following the beer craze, I mean, you take one look at a big expensive beer, you think, oh well, it's fancy beer, you know. But with growlers, I mean, you buy the growler for what? I think it's usually like 10-15 bucks for like that big 64-ounce glass jar. Then you pay another 15 bucks for 64 ounces of freaking beer.
Yeah, I just today actually. I went down to Cape May to go buy a bike off Craigslist, and then while I was on my way home, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna stop at a brewery, get a, I like to try different beers from different areas." So I stopped in, and I picked up two growlers. One was $14, and one was 18. So if you think about that, you think about 64 ounces of beer. Let's just take the one for example. 64 ounces of beer. Times two growlers, that's 128 ounces of beer. And a normal can of beer is what, 12 ounces. So you divide that, you get roughly 10 beers out of two growlers. So that's 5 beers out of one growler.
Exactly. So I mean, think about it. Like a 6-pack of decent enough beer is gonna cost you in the realm of like $7 to $10, something like that. But the growler will provide you with the alcohol content that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like,
so I went there and they have a whole beer list there, and you can, get what you want. And it's not even so much about the just getting the beer for the alcohol content. It's about going to different places,
well, yeah.
trying new beer.
I mean, like, and that's what I mean. Like, this age of flavor is kind of like swooping over the beer. Like, people back in the day were like, buying beer to get drunk. Like, no one.
A Budweiser.
I remember growing up. I remember growing up. My dad used to tell me that beer is an acquired taste. Well, nowadays, like, you drink a beer, you don't like it, they have like 50 fucking other beers that you can try. Like, you can't turn a corner without finding a new brewery. And most of the breweries, like, they calculate the ABV, the alcohol by volume. And if you're looking to kind of get a little tipsy while drinking a decent enough beer, most of the beers out there are no less than 6%. I mean, I found a couple that were 5%, but at the same time,
your IPAs are generally over 6%.
And if you get like a double IPA, and I don't know, like, that's a preference thing, because like double IPAs are so bitter.
And but the stouts are so smooth, and those things are like 8%.
It's like drinking candy, man.
It's so good.
If you like coffee, like, porters are the way to go, and porter's got just as much alcohol. The one I'm drinking right now is called Great Lakes Brewing Company. It's an Edmund Fitzgerald porter. It is sitting at 6.1% alcohol, according to this thing. And I mean, obviously it's not as high as the Natty Daddies, but you know what? I get to enjoy the experience.
Oh my god, there's no contest. And you know what? When I was at the brewery today, I was looking at the beer list, and now granted, bar prices are going to be outrageous, but you were able to get one glass for $7, or you get a growler for $14. So it's either you get
and most glasses
two
are
beers.
Most glasses are 16-ounce capacity, so you're getting more than what you paid for. Because if you take 64,
oh my, are you kidding me? So two beers.
You're getting four. You're getting 4 beers for the price of 2 beers.
You're getting 5 beers for the price of 2 beers.
Well, I mean, if you bought a 64-ounce growler as opposed to going to a bar and buying a 16-ounce glass of beer, you're getting 4 beers for the price of 2 bar beers.
Well, even
like
bars
you're doubling your take-in.
Even bars you go to, anyone you guys is listening, take a 16-ounce pint glass and pour a 12-ounce beer into it. Guess what? you're only getting 12 ounces with the head and everything.
Oh yeah,
Pint
no.
glass, it's
Oh, and keep in mind, I don't know if you've ever like seen the inner workings of bartenders. You're supposed to have a head. Like, if you don't have a head, they dump out a little bit to make sure it has a head, like a big enough head. So they're trying to like keep the amount of beer that goes into your glass down. Now with a growler, I mean, me and Eric were discussing it, and we said, like, while pouring a growler, I mean, you can't pour it fast enough to give yourself that big of a head on your beer. So when you go to pour it into your glass, you're sitting there with like a nice perfect head with a nice crisp, thin, like maybe 2 or 3 centimeter sized head, and it gives you that nice like pop of that crisp.
I said that before. I said I've never had a beer that poured nicer than this growler that I got.
Exactly.
It was just smooth. With what, like an 1/8 inch head? Perfect.
Yeah.
Go to the bar, they drop a 12-ounce can in your pint glass and get a fucking 3-inch head and charge you $8 for it. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah, if you're ever at a bar, next time you're at a bar, sit there and watch them pour a beer into a glass that came from a can originally. Half the time they're pouring out like at least 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces of just foam on top of the foam that's already in your beer. So you have this big ass head, and they're dumping out some of your beer that you paid for, and it's usually not even that good a beer. Molson Canadian dumped into a glass.
Whoa.
Great.
Don't you dare hate on Molson Canadian.
Molson is like Budweiser of Canada.
I have a lot of fond memories with Molson Canadian. A lot of the beers.
Do you remember anything on Molson Canadian?
Yeah, I do. I can tell you right now. I went to Vermont. I went to Killington with my friend Dan, and on our way up, we stopped in just about the end of New York State and picked up a couple of beers. I picked up a 6-pack of Molson Canadian. I've got specific memories from specific beers, and I'm very sentimental about my beer. Oh, like every time Genesee Cream Ale, I think of you. Every time I drink Molson Canadian, I think of when I was in Killington. Like, I have specific memories tied to specific beers. Daddy was when I was blacked out in Northfield, New Hampshire.
Hating your life off puking into a ditch.
Oh my god, yeah. I've got specific memories of specific beers.
Okay, so onto the topic of Genesee Cream Ale. I don't know how far of a reach Genesee Cream Ale has, or the Genesee Brewing Company in general, but Genesee Cream Ale is like a slightly better version of Budweiser. And like, Budweiser's not a terrible beer. It's drinkable.
It's a pretty terrible beer. Any beer is drinkable if you want to get drunk bad enough.
Like, it's not Bud Light. No. So
I'm gonna be honest, I prefer Bud Light over Budweiser, but that's just me.
No, it's like drinking water. You ever hear the joke about the
you drink a lot of them, but yeah. I do respect your Genesee Cream Ale reference.
So yeah, exactly. And Genesee Cream Ale's got 5.2% alcohol in it, so it's like a decent enough beer.
I don't want to shit on your parade, but it's 5.10.
Whatever. I'm sorry, your blood alcohol content will be a little bit lower.
I don't want you to, drop false information on the people. I'd hate to see that. I'd hate people thinking they're getting 5.2 when they're not.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I recant my statement. You're right. I just looked it up, and you're right.
I know I am.
Whatever.
Fuck off. No, but honestly, the Genesee Cream Ale is, and you really turned me on because I've had it in the past, and I was never really thinking about it. Genesee Cream Ale is the best 30-pack you can buy.
Yeah.
Where I'm at, it's $15.99 for a 30-pack. Now, it's got more alcohol, it tastes better, and it's just an all-around better purchase than, like, I used to be the biggest PBR advocate ever. I just drank so much
beer?
PBR. Well, all right. Now, I drank it before it was a hipster beer. When it was a redneck beer, I drank it.
That makes you sound like more of a hipster. I drank it before it was a hipster beer.
God, fuck off. Whatever. I drank it when it was $15 for a 30 pack, so I always bought it because it was the cheapest beer possible. Now, the liquor store that I go to, it's $18.99 for a 30 pack of PBR, and it's $15.99 or $14.99. I forget, for a 30 of Genesee Cream Ale. The only problem is it's a little thicker, so you gonna get fat if you drink it regularly.
Oh yeah, no, it's a little heavy. It's like drinking iron.
Yeah.
Like, you don't eat anything if you're gonna drink Genesee Cream Ale because you'll feel bloated.
But if you just want a nice 30 pack to sit in your fridge to have a beer here and there, oh my god, Genesee Cream Ale is the way to go.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, I am out of things to talk about. So, do you have anything else to add to this conversation?
Negative.
All right, this has been Walker and Eric with Half Past Broke signing off.
I can't even say my own name.
No, fuck you.
All right, bye.